70% of the resumes get auto rejected. ATS has made your job very tough to get even selected. And how you can get yourself accustomed to or get comfortable.
I welcome everybody who have joined today for this wonderful session. So, are you guys one of those job seekers feeling the weight of anxiety as you wait for the exclusive callback from recruiters and companies that you have applied to? Well, imagine this. You have spent hours perfecting your resume, tailoring each application, and yet the phone remains silent. Frustration sets in and doubt begins to creep in. Let's delve into two possible reasons why this might be happening. First, you may not be fully qualified for the role. Yes, it's a tough pill to swallow, but sometimes the skills and the experiences listed in your resume might not perfectly align with the job requirements. But what if you are the ideal candidate? What if you have all the qualifications, the right experience, and the perfect fit for the role? The second one is more frustrating reason when it comes into play, where your resume might not be compelling enough for the recruiter's eyes. It's not just what about you have done, it's also about how you present it to them. Your resume needs to tell a story, your story, in a way that captures attention and leaves a lasting impression. As job seekers, it's crucial to pause and ask, how can I be more appealing as a job candidate? Reflect on your journey, your achievements, and how you can showcase them effectively. While everyone's end goal may be different, the key to transforming yourself from an afterthought to becoming the most qualified applicant in the pool lies in restructuring your application process. Now, join us in this session to uncover the secrets to crafting compelling resumes and acing interviews, ensuring you stand out and secure the opportunities you deserve. I am so honored and thrilled to welcome our accomplished speaker, a talent acquisition professional and emerging career coach with over 13 years of experience in clinical operations, L&D, and recruitment. A LinkedIn certified recruiter and executive MBA graduate from IIM Calcutta. With a remarkable track record of placing over 1,000 candidates across the US, Europe, Middle East, Africa, and India, our speaker specializes in diverse hiring and niche roles. Passionate about youth development, especially for girls in small town, she has been contributing a lot. Beyond her professional achievements, she is also a speaker in YouTube, a content creator, and a freelance faculty member for Central India colleges and institutes. She is also holds an MBA in International Business and HR from Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan University, Pune, and is currently a PhD scholar. So let's join and welcome our distinguished guest today. Juhi, the stage is all yours. Please take over.
Thank you so much, Veera. Good morning, good evening, good morning from wherever you are joining. I'm thrilled to be part of this session, and thank you for bringing me here.
Next slide, please. Yes, so as I just spoke, Johi, I would really want to know, why does people or big players in the market, when they come and address the crowd, they often tell you have to be really fit for the job. You cannot be like one size fits all and send one resume to everybody out there in the market. So as a job seeker, it's very crucial to ask yourself, how can I be more appealing as a job candidate? Why is this very important, and what are we going to cover today?
So today we're gonna cover about resume and how to perform in an interview. Resume is something which most of the people think that it is just a document, but To be honest, it is not. It talks about who you are. It reflects about your personality. It talks about your education and your project experience or work experience. And unfortunately, close to 70 to 80% of the candidates which apply to the positions, they don't even know what job they are applying. Sometimes they just dump the resume, and that is why they get rejected, and they don't know the reason. And that's when they get demotivated, that they are not getting calls. But the fact is, your resume is not fit for the role. It's not you who are not fit for the role, it is your resume which is not fit for the role. So there is a slight difference when which people need to understand. We never say that you are not fit for the role, it is the resume. And that means that let's say I want to have a pizza, right? But you are offering me a kind or a variety. So I'm definitely looking for a certain variety of a pizza, but you're giving me margarita. I don't need a margarita pizza, right? I need a specific farmhouse pizza from Domino's. So I have my specifications, and that specifications are missing in the resume. So I wanted to use a very layman, example, so our people who are here today can understand why the rejection rate is too much. So tailor your resume as per the JD is what the first and important point people should remember, and just don't dump your resumes. Thank you for bringing what is resume. I think everybody knows. Let me tell you that when we open a requirement, okay, when we are looking for certain people, 70% of the resumes get auto rejected, and that auto rejection happens because of the application tracking system. 30% of the resume which comes to us, uh, either they are not fit or they have some other things which are missing. Now, let's talk about those 30%. Even though your resume has certain skill sets which the ATS picked up, etc., etc., this is not what I was looking for. The skill sets are missing, qualification is missing, the format is not up to the mark, formatting is not done, there are different ones here and there, bullets used, not used. In fact, it's like, you did not represent your data properly or yourself properly. So for an example, let me tell you, if we go to a five-star hotel or restaurant and we order for, let's say, an example of paneer, any variety of paneer, right? Why it tastes different? First of all, the presentation, right? If I order it from Zomato, sometimes it is like spilled all around. So that is what the biggest difference is, the appearance. The first thing which is very important, which sometimes we forget, and it's like my resume has everything, let me just dump it. So that is one thing which is missing. Two, we use one resume for every single thing. Like every day I can't have dal chawal, right? I can't have dal rice. One day I want variety, one day I want a normal homemade food, one day I want to go out and explore. So when we are so particular about what do we eat and how do we dress, we don't wear the same dress again and again, right? Or on a daily basis. So why we are so particular about our resume? Okay, this is my resume, I'm going to use it. So that is one thing. We do not highlight our skill sets. Today I'm applying for, let's say, HR manager, and tomorrow I'm applying for a senior manager. There is a huge difference between these two titles. The expectation from the business, from the recruiter. Uh, I need to quantify things, I need to qualify things, a lot of things which comes into picture, and those are the things which are missing in a resume. And keep the same outline structure for subsequent applications, update specific details. That is what is missing. So resume, we know what resume is, but important thing is to 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 make your resume continuous. Even though I am a career switcher, I moved from a clinical research background to L&D to recruitment, but there is a transition which happened. But in some of the resumes which I have seen, there is no transition. Someday the person was doing call center, someday he just switched. There is no transitioning which is happening. There was no particular certifications which are supporting all those transitions. So this is what I have covered. The mistakes which we do. We do not have professional email IDs. Number one, come on. The first thing should have your your professional email ID. It can be a first name dot last name. It can be anything. Like there was one email which I still remember was Superman 007 at gmail.com, and that was the email which I was like, dude, this is professional network. You're applying for a job with this kind of an email address. And if there are two kind of recruiters, guys. One who gets into the resume, who read everything, spend at least 5 to 10 minutes of your time. And then B, there are second kind of recruiters who spend 6 to 10 seconds of their time on your resume, and they check out for all these minor things. So that is why you should avoid all these things. Neglecting your soft skill section. I've seen people talking about, I have this skill, that skill, but there's no soft skill, there's no communication, leadership skills, any certification, any program you attended, that has not been highlighted. And that is why you get rejected. See, if for, let's say if I'm hiring for AI ML developer, now of course it's a super niche requirement. I will definitely have handful of candidates available in the market. But even though out of those 20, 30 candidates, I have to close one position, right? So out of 30, I'll be very, very choosy. I will pick up those who are, who cover a lot of things. So that is one thing you should keep in mind. Avoid small mistakes. An important thing, I don't know how many of you do it, but trust me, 95% of the candidates I have reviewed, the cover letter was not there at all. I just got a resume that, hi, please find attached. When I get it now, even now, people send me resumes on LinkedIn, on my work ID and on my personal email ID for reference, and they just dump resume. They don't even mention for which job they are applying, what are the skill sets, qualifications, education, how they are fit for this role. There are so many things which we can write on cover letter, and that is also not there. And there are so many videos which are available on YouTube. Even mine is there as well on cover letter. People just don't give focus on cover letter. So that is another important thing that one person should keep in mind, to have a proper cover letter. And redo your cover letter like you redo your resumes. When you will redo your resumes, you should also redo your cover letters. That is also very, very important. Number three, have a proper bulleting, numbers or roles or bullets, whatever you are using. Have a proper structure about it. Okay, interesting topic. ATS, application tracking system. There were years back, we used to get dump of resumes, and we used to review everything, and it was like 9 hours of a job. Out of 9 hours, we used to spend 6 hours just screening the resumes. Now most of the companies have their application tracking system, and they have made recruiters job easy. But they have ATS has made your job very tough to get even selected. Now what happened is that the skill sets are not matching. I am looking for a specific, let's say I'm looking for a Java developer, and into Java development, I am looking also, somebody who's into full stack with Java experience, right? And your resume talks all about Java as a backend, but does not talk about anything about your front end skills. So that is the one missing thing which you should keep in your mind when you are applying. Remember that there is a person, there is a hidden person or invisible person who is seated in almost all of the bigger organizations who do this screening. And how the algorithm works, once you understand I'm sure that if you're applying to the position, let's say if you're applying to 10 positions, you'll at least crack 60 to 80% of your screening level, of your selection. So at the time of your screening, ATS works. We give the data, we dump the job description to ATS. We give inputs on what skill sets are the priority skill sets, what are our preferred skill sets, what are okay to have, and all those things are being pre-given to ATS. He knows what needs to be done. But but if your resume is not matching to the ATS algorithm, then definitely it is going to be a reject. So understand how ATS works. Of course, it helps in scheduling. Resume parsing is what I just told you, right? There are n number of formats in which we get the resume. ATS, simplify it and give it to us so that it is readable. Now, next thing is it's efficiency. Now, it has really helped the HRs because it has really reduced. I don't have to look all the 100 resumes which ATS has given me, that okay, these are the 30 resumes. You filter it, pick up, and take it forward. So this is the kind of resume we should avoid. Spelling mistake, grammatical error, wrong tense, typo errors, passive voice, inconsistent punctuation. So these are the formatting errors one should avoid, irrespective of your experience, whether you're starting your career, or even if you are a tenured resource. ATS friendly tips, which are really very important and one should definitely remember. Number one is tailor your resume. Okay. So when I say tailor your resume, how you should tailor your resume? Read the job description thoroughly. Understand what are the skill set which is be needed. Just make a point of, just make a note of it. Make bullet points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What are the skill sets which are needed, which are must have, which are preferred, which are okay to have? Make that list. Now open your resume and look whether these skill sets are matching. And how you can do it, just do control F and find out all the skills. You'll be able to understand whether your resume is even matching to the requirement or not. And there are a lot of websites which are available, which gives you analysis free of cost, where you can compare your resume. You can use that, or you can do a manual thing which I just told you, and you can find that out. Understand that, identify the keywords, optimize it, and dump it in your resume with connections. Okay, so if you are saying that you have certain skill set experience, if I say that I have leadership experience, I have to quantify it. Okay, I have to talk about it. So I just can't say that I'm expert in leadership, but my experience should talk about it, that I can handle multiple leadership across all the geos. And how I can do it, because I have experience into all the geo hiring. I've done multiple hirings, etc., etc. So now you understood whatever skill sets you're talking about, or you're entering, or you are dumping in your resume. Make sure there is a connection. That is really very very important. And highlight your relevant details. So if you talk about, let's say I have uh, Node.js experience. In your experience, talk about how did you use that Node.js, where did you use it, in which project, for which client, if you're allowed to use a client name, for which client, how did you do it, right? So all these things should be there in your resume, and that's how the ATS will pick up your resume. And when we as a recruiter, when we get the resume, when we read the resumes, we will read it, and that will make us attracted towards your resume even more. And then that's when we decide, okay, fine, let's talk to this candidate. So if you have a gap in your resume, or in your career, or in your education, you can always cover it up with continuous learning. So even though you had some professional, some personal things going on, you decided to take a break or whatever, what did you do at that point in time? So continuous learning is really very important, because now 100% of the organizations look out for a coachable candidate. Next slide now. All right, thank you. So top sections which talks about 8 years as in compliant resume. Have your summary. Make sure your qualifications are there, your professional experience. If you are a fresher, make sure your projects are updated, up to date. Highlight your skill sets relevant to the job. If you're not sure whether your resume is matching, or how how much percentage it is matching, you can do manually, or you can use any website and just get it checked. Highlight your certifications, your recent certifications, and make sure that you learn something out of it. Keyword optimization. So when you craft your resume, make sure that you convert ATS in your language. When I say convert ATS, that means convert the job description in your language and update in your resume by mirroring the language of your job description using specific skills of your name, certification. You're not just submitting a document, you are speaking, you're letting the ATS know that, dude, this is what your language is, and I'm giving you answers in your language. And that's how you get, make sure you get yourself uh, noticed easily. Formatting, like I said, formatting, points are there. So make sure that your resume is formatted properly, you have your margin, labels properly. And even though there are, so my humble suggestion to you is that even though there are websites, free websites, which are available, all you have to do is enter certain data, certain information, and they create a resume for you. Please don't use it. We get tons of resumes from that. And and I may not be attracted towards your resume. You can use the format, definitely, but tailor it. It is you who's talking. It is not a website who's talking about you, or on behalf of you. It should be you who should talk about yourself. So tailor it, invest your time in your resume. Resume optimization. Your resume summary acts as the opening chapter, and that is absolute if you're applying for a job. Your first chance to get engaged, to get a chance to speak to a recruiter. Our job is not easy. We handle at least 30 to 40 positions at a time, sometimes more than that, sometimes less than that as well, right? I might be handling only three super niche skills, but in super niche skills, my task, my job is again not easy to get the resumes, right? So it can happen to anybody. A recruiter is having tough day, and your resume is haywire, and that is how you'll not get even a call from a recruiter. They'll not even call you and ask you, okay, I want to know more about you. This was attracted me to even call you. They won't even call you, trust me. They'll only call you if you have proper setup of a resume which talks about your professional journey, which demonstrates how you can contribute to my organization. And that can happen, and I will only get to know from your resume, from your cover letter, right? How you gonna be a right match to my requirement, how you are culturally fit for my requirement, for my organization. I will get to know only from your resume and from your cover letter. And that's when I decide whether I should call this candidate or not. Trust me. uh, let's say, let me give you a very very vague and a very a common example, right? When we go out for shopping, uh, and you just entered and you don't know what you want to shop, and you just see and is like, okay, 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 and later you decide not to take it. But the very next day you decided that, okay, I want to go to a particular store, I want to buy this and this and this. You know what you're looking for. That's how we know what we are looking for. And if you are not selling me what I am looking for, why I would even be interested to talk to you or to even see your resume? It's just not what I'm looking for, right? So guys, please understand this thing. Our journey, our life is not easy. We get zillions of calls from business, from different stakeholders, from vendors and candidates, and so on. So our life is also tough. So when you understand our life is tough, you will understand It is your job to make our life easy by giving us a very good, amazingly good resume which talks everything about you that attracts me. And how you can get myself attracted or a recruiter get attracted by connecting everything, by qualifying and quantifying your your work experience, your roles and responsibilities. So I am into hiring, or I am into Java development. I designed, or I supported, I helped in lead generation, or I helped in, let's say, uh, publishing a project or XYZ. There are zillions of candidates who do it, but how you can quantify it? Talk about how it happened, what was the client, what was the timeline, how did you handle difficult situations. So talk about it. uh, so there was only 20% of the sales which we did last year, and I found out I did the analysis and I found out these were the gaps, and we decided to do a forecasting of it. And we started building, going back to the hiring managers or going back to the business director. So all you have to do is communicate, connect, and showcase in your resume. So skill updates, very very important. Just like any good protagonist, your skill needs periodic updates. Like I said, I am into coachable candidates only. I might have did my graduation 20 years ago. It does not matter which certification I did recently. What did I study? Any new technology which I added in my kitty. There is a new technology which we are talking about, in the market. Is it really there in my resume? Is it fascinating for a recruiter to even call you? Think from a recruiter's perspective when you design your resume. And that's how, build your resume. And then try, try, and try. So it is not that you designed your resume in two different setup, or in for two different roles, and immediately you start getting calls. No, it may happen, it may not happen. So keep trying, keep editing, keep testing yourself, your resume as well. So like you test when you write a code, right? You test it. If there are bugs, you fix it. So it's a continuous learning process. Summary section, very very important. Your resume summary acts, I think we covered it. Yes, we covered it. So let me just give you a bit of time to read, and let me rephrase it if you need anything. Highlight, use bullet points, quantify it, contribute towards organization's culture. And you can demonstrate by writing certain, connecting why you are fit for this role in your cover letter, or also in your resume. I mean, when you write a note to a recruiter, you can make a connection that this is what I was looking for. uh, Make sure that your resume is matching the requirement you're applying for, and there are proper updates on your certifications. So tips before the interview: the number one thing you should do is go over your resume, read your resume. What are the job description you are applying, and what are the roles and responsibilities you have mentioned? Is there any connection between the JD and your roles and responsibilities? Refresh your memory. Like, I remember there was a candidate who mentioned so much that he don't even remember he did it in the past, right? If you are an experienced candidate, let's say 10, 15 years experience, sometimes you forget a slight thing which you did, skill which you undergone or upskilled yourself. So make sure that you go back to your resume. Sometimes you get picky recruiters and interviewers where they go in detail of your resume. They're like, okay, this is mentioned in your resume, can you elaborate more on this? And let's say I copied my resume from one of my friend, because it was his resume or her resume was eye catchy, or he or she got campus selected. So I thought, okay, let me have a easy life, let me use that resume, right? He did something which I don't even know about it. So make sure you read the resume, go over your resume before you enter or before you attend an interview. craft your answers properly, practice your answers. If you have phobia, you can't face so many people or a panel, practice certain questions. And trust me, there are 10 to 15 questions which are very common questions, soft skill questions which are being asked in almost all the interviews. Practice yourself so that you know how to address certain questions. Emphasize on your project details, your achievements, your roles. Quantify it. Just don't say that I did this. How you improved. Let's say you increased your sales from 20 to 36% in, let's say, 6 months of time. So quantify it. How did you do that? What did you do differently that will, because of which you were able to increase your organization sales by 16% in 6 months, or from 20% you took your company to 38% or 40% of a growth. So, or project growth, or you helped your business save certain money through hiring or getting a candidate or getting a coachable candidate who was like 50% match, and then you hired, you upskill that candidate and you deploy as a project manager or as a hiring manager. So these are very, very minor things which looks minor, but they are actually not minor. They are really very important, and they build up a really good case about who you are in front of an interviewer, in front of a recruiter. 98% of the candidates don't even know which company they're applying. They don't know companies information, they don't know companies quarterly report performance and things like that. And that showcase that how focused are you if you are applying for a job. And if I am the interviewer, I would definitely expect a candidate to know at least 50 points about my organization. So do a research, understand company's culture, company's mission, and connect your answer. There has to be a connection that this is what company's vision is, this is what I want to do so that I can help and contribute the company to achieve their mission and vision. you know I hope you got my point. So there has to be a connection between all those things, and that would be fascinating for an interviewer to know, oh, this candidate knows about my company, knows about what we are chasing. So I should bring him or her under my umbrella, so that he can help, and he can help the organization to tailor your resumes, tailor your responses aligned to the company's goal. Very, very important. There are organizations now who are focusing on diverse hiring, right? So, and it is clearly written on the JD sometimes that they are looking for diverse candidates. So how you can bring into the table, how, if you were had this kind of a challenge given in your previous organization, how you dealt with it. So all those things you should talk about it, right? And you so interview will not tell you that this is what kind of a person I'm looking at. You will get to know only from companies data, companies information. This is what they are chasing. And if I tell them that this is what I can bring to the table, then there are higher chances of me getting being shortlisted for the next interview or for the offer. Slide number 3, which is tips before the interviews, preparing engaging stories. Like I said, there has to be a connection of what you did, what you can bring to the table. If you have faced any challenges, how did you sort that? How did you deal with it? What did you do differently, etc. So there has to be stories which you can connect. You know what? I had a challenging client who was very, very particular about certain things. And initially we took time to understand, and then one day we did a brainstorming session to understand his expectation, what we can bring to the table, how we can expect certain changes, anticipate it and give it back. So common questions which you can run through, and which I ran. So all these stories you should build up when you're talking to interviewer, because they know what they are looking for. You don't know what they are looking for, but they are looking for these kind of elaborations, connectivity, that what differently you can bring to the table. With that, let's go to slide number 4, which is avoiding use of generative AI tools. Not sure if next slide. Yeah. Not sure if you know. But I think most of us are now using Chat GPT, right? Just go to the Chat GPT website, dump your question, and that gives you an answer. But trust me, my friends, there was a recent experience with me where I was talking to one of the candidate, and he gave me certain data, and I was shocked to know because that was not the genuine data. And I was like, from where did you even get to know about my organization? I am into this in my organization for over I think close to 8 years now, and I didn't know about it. How did you get to know about it? Because unfortunately, this information is not right. ChatGPT was created some time back. Certain information was given, certain was not right. It's a tool which sometimes may get confused. You ask for something and it's just a spell error, and it gives you certain data. So just don't rely on information, verify it. Use social media, do your research, learn about that company, and like I said, connect your answers. So let's say you are applying for a sales position, even for a sales executive, which is just the beginning profession in the sales industry. You are beginning into it. You can talk about what was a quarterly report, what was a previous profit margin which we did, what is a P&L, how and different, what differently you can bring in. So still you can, you can connect it, and you can say that, this is what I read, and I felt that this is how we can signify or improve it in next 2 quarters. So there has to be a showcasing of what you researched about this company, and how and what you can bring to the table. So your interviewer will tell you just in 3 minutes if you're confident for an interview or not. So and how you can get yourself accustomed to or get comfortable, I'll talk about it in the next slide. But before that, pay attention, have an eye contact, and have an engaging discussion. They are not judging you as a person who you are. They're judging that resume, and how this resume's candidate or the person behind this resume is fit for the role. So that is what they are judging for. And if you do common mistakes, sometimes you get slouched, you don't know, you're not confident, you don't know the answer, it is okay to say that, I don't know. So tell me about yourself is a question which works as an icebreaker, to make you get accustomed or comfortable in an interview. That is why interviewer ask you this question. See, all the information is pretty much available in your resume. There are people who talk about certain things, and there are certain things which you should avoid. Avoid your personal discussion as long as the interviewer didn't ask. But if interviewer are asking personal questions, if you're comfortable, do answer. If you are unable or if you're not comfortable, you can politely say that, I prefer not answering this, or I'm not comfortable answering. But what should be a format of answering this question is: number one, you can greet, you can give your name and your education. That should be a first point. Second point is your skill sets, your experience, and your achievements. If you don't have any experience, you can connect your projects, your internship information. And third, which is really important point, is you should justify why you're a fit for a role. So if I am applying as a candidate, so my answer would be, hey, hi, I'm Juhi, pursuing BTech from XYZ, college. I'm skilled in React JS and have good knowledge of Java. Last summer, I was interned in XYZ company as a front end intern, and I learned to be part of a team and, really enjoyed my experience and time there. As your company is also hiring for the same skills, this makes me a perfect candidate for this job. So this is a very, very generic answer, and you can tailor it as per whichever role you're applying for. You can add a lot of information about it, but this is very, very generic answer which you can use. The next question is, what do you know about us? Anyone would like to uh, put in any answers to these questions?
You guys can leave your answers in the chat box.
So there is one question which is asked sometimes, which is, what do you know about us, or why do you join our company? Okay. So these two questions are interlinked. Now, what is the possible answer? You should remember four W's. Okay, four W's. One, what does that company do? Where they are located and how many employees they have. What is the role you're applying for? And fourth, what are their vision and mission? Pro tip is all the information you can get it from the news. So have these four what's ready, four W's ready for any interview you're applying or you are giving in. And if you have answers to all these four, you're good with this question. Number third question is again very interesting, right? There are times when uh, the interviewer asked, "Tell me, I mean, something they asked, and you don't know what to answer. You're not confident, or you just don't know about such questions. How do you handle such questions? Anyone wants to come forward or just share their inputs or anything? All you can do is you can just use
Uh,
few phrases.
I am so sorry to stop you because we have a request from Shubham Gupta who wants to know, can you please elaborate again on the four W's, please?
Sure, I would be happy to. So the number one W is, what does that company do? Number two is, where they are located and how many employees are there across the world. Number three W is, what is the role that you're applying for? Number four is, what are their vision and mission? And if you have the answers to these questions for any company you're applying for, you can build up your answer. So that is one thing I would want to share. And the pro tip is, most of the information is available in the news. Go to Google, ask, and you'll get the information. But justify it, make sure you have the right information and not just rely on ChatGPT. All right, thank you, Shubham. I hope I answered your question. All right. So the third question is, what do you do if you don't know? So if I don't know as a candidate, so I when I was like 15 years back, if I don't know, I used to get panic. Oh my God, what I'm gonna answer? My hands used to sweat a lot, and it was visible on my face that I don't know. Now, even if I don't know, I have an answer for that because there are a set of three or four answers which I have designed for myself, and I also suggest when I do any interview sessions or whenever I coach people for their career. So there are a set of answers which I shared. Number one answer is, can you please rephrase it for me? Uh, Number two answer is, let's say you did not understand that question properly. Can you elaborate more so that I can understand your question before I answer? Because uh, it's kind of I'm lost. It's okay to say you're lost. Sometimes we have zillions of thoughts which are going on in your mind, so it's okay to lost and just accept it. Ask them to rephrase it. And the third thing is, if you don't know, that's okay. You are not Google. Okay, so that's okay. You can say that, I don't know. That's fine. You don't know, but I would really be interested to, read about it, to learn more about it. And at the time, or when you finish your interview, you can connect and you can ask, can I ask you one thing? Could you please help me understand this question? What kind of answer you were looking for? And that's trigger interviewer that, okay, this candidate is learnable. He wants to know if he or she missed. That's okay, that's all right, he missed. Initially, I might have an impression that he don't know this. Okay, let me skip this candidate. But at the end of the interview, he asked, okay, I don't know this, could you please help me to know more about it? And that gauged my interest, that okay, now this is a candidate I should look forward to. One who does not know and he's like, okay, I don't know, sorry. And then there is a candidate who said, I don't know, can you help me to learn? Can you help me? Can you coach me? So that is kind of the variety of candidates, the interviewers look forward to when they interview a candidate. And that is why, even though there are only 3% of candidates who get chance to get interviewed, out of 3%, 2.6% of the candidates gets rejected, and because of minor details. And I'm not getting into the technicalities of your interview, but I'm talking all about your soft skills, the connections which you do, etc., etc. So with that, I'm good, Veera. It's up to you. It's over to you.
All right. Now that we spoke so much about interviews, I would like to show them a thing that Cognivi has actually developed very recently. Can we go to the next slide? So yes, so this is actually called the Mockup app that Cognigy has been developing and is now available for both Android users as well as for iOS users. So here you can actually discover and understand how you should prepare for interviews. Usually when we guys prepare for interviews, we often try to look into the common or frequently asked questions. What do we do for that? We go to Google, we try to search about it, or we look into various other websites like Quora, or we talk to our friends, relatives, and so on. This is time consuming. You would still get the questions, but who would coach you for the answers? So, this particular app will help you take up mock up interviews. So, you can choose and select which kind of company you want to practice for. This app currently has questions for all the FANG companies. Now, if you are very new to this terminology, FANG companies are Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, and other top firms. And our AI, which this app has an AI inbuilt. So this AI will evaluate your response on the depth, the details, the clarity, and the accuracy of your answer, and it will give you the feedback for your continuous learning and improvement. And if you see why we focus on these top companies, maybe you might have your own preferences or choices that you want to, land in a particular role or in a particular job. But these are the companies that have the most rigorous interview process and they are high standards. If you can practice this and crack this, you can, probably land a job in any other desirable firm. So this tool is now available, so please use it, try it, and before anyone else can again become your competitor by practicing through it, why don't you take your chance and practice it? Yes, so here's a QR code. You guys can download this app from Play Store or from the App Store, and you guys can use it, and you can also let us know your feedbacks. We will have the feedback link dropped in the chat box, so you can give us the feedback on how the session was and what you guys want us to cover in the upcoming webinars, and you guys can stay tuned for the same. When we prepare resume, there is a lot of differences, right? The reason is because sometimes you prepare resumes when you're a fresher. Sometimes you prepare it when you are an experienced person. When you're a fresher, you barely have content to put in. But when you're experienced, you want to tell everything that you did. So how do you align and how do you know what you have to pick and choose when you're serving, all the information in a resume? Because we know that we are constantly told keep your resume to one page, maximum two. So how do you pick and choose what you have to showcase?
Well, there is no hard and fast rule that you should have only one page or a two-page of a resume. Although it is suggested that you should have one or two page of a resume, so that so that the recruiter don't get bored with 8 pages or 7 pages of a resume, right? So the answer to your question, Veera, is if you're a fresher, highlight your project details and make a connection with the job description. That is one. Two, if you are a skilled or an experienced candidate, again make a connection with the job description you're applying for. Your
Mhm.
target is not to showcase who Juhi is or who Veera is. Your target is to showcase how Juhi or Veera is relevant for this job. And that is the key thing, that make a connection, talk about the requirements, talk about your roles and responsibilities pertaining to the job description you're applying.
How
Lost
do
it.
you handle stressful situations?
Okay, so how I handle stressful situation, uh, I take a deep breath. Okay, even at the time of interview, if I'm nervous, I'll say, can you give me a real quick minute? Can I have a glass of water? Okay, I'll take 2 sips, 3 sips, and that help me relax, and that helps me to think about what I have to answer in this question. If I don't know how I'm gonna say that I don't know, you know so take a break and just a quick minute, try to cover your thoughts as much as you can. And if you don't know, that's okay to say no. that I don't know. That's all right. They are not going to reject on one question if you have answered wrongly. If the interviewer is genuinely looking for a candidate. Because I have seen candidates who answered 10 out of 10, answered 9 questions, and for one question they got rejected. And that's when your recruiter come into the picture. Most of the recruiters do attend all these interviews, technical interviews. And as a recruiter, we go back to the hiring manager and we say that, you know what, this is my best candidate, why did you even reject? Give me reasons. So as a recruiter, we fight for our candidates. So you as a candidate fight for yourself, and if you don't know, just say, I don't know this, however, could you please help me understand more about it? I might know something which is relevant to this question, but I might not be able to make a connection at this particular moment. So hope that answers.
Yes, so we have answered Kiran's question. And the next one is Sumant. So he wants to know how should you reply when interviewer asks, do you have any questions at the end of the interview? Mhm.
Oh, that's an interesting question. I mean, I was not expecting, because most of the candidates, don't prepare for this question. And trust me, I have like sample answers for this question ready at this point in time. So if it maybe it seems that it's a non-worthy question, but let me tell you that asking these kind of questions, recruiter wants to know. So when a candidate, sorry, when a recruiter or an interviewer asks, do you have any questions, they are looking for a genuine interest of yours in that particular role and in that particular company. They also, it also helps them to take an informed decision about your potential future in our workplace. So you can say that, can you please tell me more about your team I'll be working with? uh, do you have any uh, measure for success in this position? What would be the next steps? Is there any specific skills which you're targeting? And do you want me to brush up and be ready for if I get this opportunity? What are the additional benefits the organization provides, in uplifting uplifting their employees, other than the IJPs? How does a typical day look like for you for this particular role? These are the sample questions which you can always have handy, and trust me, in any interview, you just can copy paste, and the recruiter or the interviewer will definitely get excited to answer these questions.
Right. Now we are done with Sumant's question. The next one is actually from Vidushi. So she wants to know, ma'am, is it true that companies don't hire fresher because of market disturbance?
Well, to answer this question is no. Yeah, there are a lot of layoffs which has happened in the recent past. However, companies are still hiring. The hiring number may looks less, and that's when your time comes in, where you can portray yourself that how you are better than an experienced candidate, right? So market disturbance is there, will be there. Okay, so sometimes the hiring is happening at a higher pace, where the companies are picking up every single person, and there will be a time when we have too many candidates in our bench, and we are having tough time in placing them in the projects. So all those kind of experiences company has, or they get into. But market disturbance does not stop you from getting your dream job if you are working towards the path you have decided. Do your projects for doing internships, for doing projects. If you are a fresher, nobody is stopping you. You can look out for freelancing projects. There are zillions of freelancing projects which are available. You can start from your second year preparation itself, that this is what you would you would want to go, right? So let's say if I want to crack cat, for example, I would start preparing from my second year of my graduation, that I want to crack cat. First I need to understand the cat pattern, then I had to I have to know what I need to do. So that's how you need to build your career, your path, where you want to take, and how you can bring it. And trust me, there are people who are getting really good companies, really good package,